You'd think naturally guitar, but no, I got asked if I could mime piano. It's just money driven, it's all money driven, and it's so frustrating. Anyway, is horrendous and it should never happen. It's an awful, awful thing. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I am talking about the dark side of the music industry. So I have been gigging for 10 years. I started when I was 15 in 2009 and now 2019 is my 10th year. So I thought within this year I could kind of look into doing more advice videos and just stuff I've learned over the 10 years, because I have come into contact with a lot of people in that time. I've had a lot of experiences in that time. I have grown up a lot in that time, and my skin is so much thicker than it was when I first started out. So I just wanted to talk to you about kind of 5 main topics really of things to avoid or things to look out for. There's so much to talk about and there is so much out there and there's a lot of advice out there, but I just wanted to go through 5 main points really. You might not know that this goes on. You might be a musician yourself or an artist yourself or in a band. You might just be starting out, or you might be going for a while and you may have come into contact with any of these things. I just wanted to talk to you about it. Kind of a little bit of fun. Not really. I'm not going to name and shame, but I am going to go through these 5 things and then a little bit of a beware of at the end as well. I've had my fair share of experiences with all of these topics. That's why I wanted to talk to you about them. So let's get into it. Number 1 is being approached. So whether that be from a label, a manager, someone trying to offer you a service to get your music out there, anything like that. I've had a lot of emails and I still get a lot of emails from people who claim that they want to help me get my music out there, they want to work with me, they're a label offering services, so much out there, and a lot of it is generic emails. They aren't very personable, they don't talk about any specific songs that they like, so they're probably just getting you off the database. These things happen and people do approach you all the time, and just because someone's approached you, A, doesn't mean they're legitimate, B, it doesn't mean you have to go with them just because that they've approached you or they might be the first person that's approached you, and C, I don't have a C. My heading for this was going to be false hope. There is so much false hope, and you might get approached by someone, you might get approached by a label, and you might think this is it, you might think this is your lucky break, and you're going out there and you might have met with them and you might think that, you know, they're promising the world and everything sounds great and dandy, but when you look into it, when you do your research, when you really get down to the nitty-gritty of it, it turns out to be a little bit of a scam. It's an emotional roller coaster and you will have extreme highs and extreme lows, but just be prepared for the false hope. You do become cynical in this industry. You are given so much false hope and then you are let down, so be aware that is something that happens. PR deals as well, like someone might say that they're going to do this, that and the other and get your song to these radio stations or get exclusive play on a website, get like exclusive first plays, and then it doesn't happen. You know, you're giving people money to do something and to do a job and then it doesn't happen, and it's so disheartening. You get given that false hope, you get given false information, and they can't always deliver the goods, and yeah, they can't deliver what they say they're going to. Number 2, reality shows. So I did a whole video on the X Factor and The Voice because I was scouted for those last year. I will leave it up here and below so that you can have a little look and watch that, so that I don't need to talk about it in too much detail on here. But reality shows, they are The Voice and the X Factor and Britain's Got Talent. Probably like 80% of people that hear me sing will say to me, have you been on the X Factor, or you should go on the X Factor. And like I say, I talked about it all in my video, I just didn't get through the producers round. The whole thing with false hope, again, these will probably all tie into each other, but people think you just turn up on the day and audition and then you're likely to get through, and even if you get scouted, it doesn't mean that you're going to get on the show, it doesn't mean that you're going to be successful. It's a hard graft, this industry. You have to really work hard and you have to put the hours in, and to be honest with you, with these talent shows, it's the same as well. I have to say, like, it's not easy. You don't just turn up and audition and that's it. Even if you get through, you have to put the hard work in. You do have to work hard. I think people don't realise how hard you have to work in this industry to get a break. You have to be putting yourself out there, you have to be constantly on it and working. That's another thing that happens, getting scouted for reality shows. A lot of the reality shows that you see on the television, even down to Love Island and everything like that, it's all scouted for. So that takes me nicely on to number 3, which is competitions. Now, when I first started out, I kind of went in for everything that I could. There's a few competitions that are well known that people will have done. There's songwriting competitions where you apply online and you submit your music. There are competitions where you perform and then you have to go through various rounds and then you get, I don't even know what you get at the end of them, to be honest with you. What did you get? There's at least 2 that I did, and then there was a songwriting competition as well. Yeah, I mean, it's good experience. But with a songwriting competition, like, you had to pay to submit your songs, which is a big no-no now. Like, I would never do that. It's one of my avoids coming up, is paying. If someone likes you and wants you to be in a competition, or there's an opportunity to be spotted by a talent scout or whatever, like, you shouldn't be paying. People should be inviting you. You're the one that's in demand. You are the one that they want, so they should be doing everything that they can to get you, not the other way around. Obviously, you need to be working hard, but it should be them selling themselves to you and trying everything that they can to get you out there, and then you just do your bit that you've been doing anyway, your hard work. Competitions are a funny one. They are very strange. Again, they are full of false hope and false promises and letdowns, ups and downs. The ones that I did, they are tying nicely into one of my other topics, but a lot of the time you get through the first round and then the second round is normally like the regional finals or whatever, and in that one you have to get people along, so friends and family, and those tickets normally cost about 20 quid or something. And then they say, the classic line is, the judges are more likely to be in your favour if they know that the audience are on your side. So obviously you bring as many people as you can at £20 a ticket, and that makes them loads of money, and actually at the end of the day it probably doesn't even sway the vote. One that I did do, actually, it was over in Wembley, and there was a guy who came down from Scotland to be on it. He brought some people down. I was coming from Richmond at the time, and the guy that won in the end was from the area, so he brought all of his friends down. So actually that did sway the judges. But you know, it's like, if you're coming from far and wide, you can't bring all these people. And also at 20 quid a ticket, by that point I was already gigging. I was doing a lot of open mics and stuff for free where my friends could come and see me, or I was playing shows for like under a £5 and that were more local. So why would they pay 20 quid to come and see me in a competition to do one song when they could either get in for free or pay under a £5 or even under a tenner to come and see me play a whole set? I just can't. And unfortunately, it's just money driven. It's all money driven, and it's so frustrating. Anyway, number 4 is auditions. Auditions are, I guess they kind of tie into the previous 2. Again, a very strange one. I've done some very strange things over the past 10 years. Very strange. Okay, like, a lot of what I'm saying is experience when I maybe talking in the third person or whatever, but a lot of it is experience. I wouldn't even be able to name and shame this one because I can't even remember. There were 2 occasions. One, I got asked, it was the last day of school, I remember that much, because I missed out on our year photo and I missed out on everyone signing our tops, but I got mine signed like really quickly at the end of the day. But I went to this audition, and the audition was to be in a girl band, and it was kind of like, I can't remember what they were called, clearly didn't come to anything, but they were a lot older, and I know that it was kind of the whole like major label hype. You go in there thinking you're going to join this girl band and then you're going to be famous, and you know, you have all of that going around in your head as a 16-year-old, and I kind of had a feeling it wasn't going to be quite right for me because I was this kind of like Katie Tunstall, folky kind of singer-songwriter playing with my guitar. I remember knowing that I was too young. But anyway, they wanted to see me, so I went along, and I remember that I definitely was too young. These girls were way older than me, and I was too tall, and it wasn't my style. They were squeaky clean pop, and at the time I was more like folky country singer-songwriter. So that came to nothing. And then another one I went to, I got asked, this is so random, I can't remember who asked me or why or what. I got asked to mime as part of an all-female backing band on a TV show. I can't remember what TV show, who the artist was, why, or where it even was. You'd think naturally guitar, but no, I got asked if I could mime piano on this show, and I was like, yeah, sure, whatever, like I'll get on TV, it'll be a laugh. And so I had to potentially like learn this piano part, and then it just came to nothing. Like I went along, I did the audition, or I spoke to them and they were like, "Are you willing to learn this or whatever?" And basically, do I fit the look? And I was all game for it. Yeah, sure, whatever, I'd try anything. But in the end, that came to nothing, so I don't even know what that was about. So it's just these like weird auditions you go to. Very strange. I did a Disney audition when I was like 15, 16. I was a bit too old, but I went and did that audition over in London. But auditions are really weird. Obviously, I went to audition for Britain's Got Talent, and again, like The Voice and The X Factor, even though they were invited auditions, they're still auditions, and like they're so weird because you can't help but build your hope up in your head of what's going to happen, or are you going to get through. You think about it, and you really shouldn't go there, but you do. You can't help it. It's only natural that you think, what if I win this? Or what if this is it? And then you get there and you do it and someone is judging you. And I always struggled with that. I studied at ACM in Guildford, which is a music academy, and those assessments were the most nerve-wracking experiences of my gigging life. Okay, maybe a few other gigs did top it, but it was up there with like my most nervous moments as a musician were those assessments, because it was like someone is judging you doing what you love doing, and normally people are judging you in a different way if you're gigging and they don't know you, not judging you on your vocal ability, your technique and everything. And it's so subjective as well that it's just horrible. Like being judged and doing an audition for something you love doing and you're so confident in yourself doing. I mean, we all doubt ourselves sometimes, like I definitely do. It's awful. It's awful. I don't know why we do it. So the next one, which is the last one. This is the last of my 5, and this is a big one which I think people are still surprised like when I talk about this one. But number 5 is the classic pay to play. So pay to play is horrendous and it should never happen. It's an awful, awful thing. If you are a musician and you are gigging and you are new to this and you are ever asked to pay money to play a gig, just no, straight up no, walk out, say no, don't do it. It is awful. You should not be, as a musician, you should not be paying anything. You should be paid. There's this whole thing where it's like you wouldn't ask a plumber or a builder or someone to do the work for the exposure or for the experience, you know? You wouldn't be like, oh, can you like fix my fence or can you do my driveway? But it's alright, you can put your sign out the front and then it'll be really good exposure for you. No, and there's that whole classic thing, if I can find it I'll post it, and it's like, oh thank goodness my rent is 800 exposures. Like, no, we need money, like we're doing this, it's a job. And I think people don't think of musicians as working people. I think they think of us as like these, I don't know, maybe like singing monkeys who like just want to do it for fun. No, like it's our career, it's our life, it's our passion. And if I'm honest with you, my whole gigging life, 90% of gigs are voluntary. Like it's voluntary work we're doing at the end of the day. I always think, God, these people are volunteering, that's amazing that they're doing that voluntary work. Like, it's so amazing that they give up their time to do that for free. And then I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh yeah, I do a lot of my music career for free. But eventually the tables will turn. Eventually you will be able to be in a position where you can ask for money and you will be able to be paid. It's a catch-22. You need the exposure in order to build up your name and build up your profile to get the gigs. As soon as someone says how many people can you bring, I class that as pay to play. Because as a promoter, you should be promoting the gig. It's your job to bring the punters in as much as it is my job to bring the punters in. I'm not going to bring all of my friends and family to every single show, because as much as they love me and as much as they love my music, my parents act as management, so they will come to my shows. But you can't expect all of your closest friends and relatives to come to it all. It's not going to happen. Unless you play like once a year, then granted. There's a lot of promoters out there who will want to do the least they can, minimum effort with maximum gain, and that's just really not fair, because it's all the effort and everything is going on the artists and the musicians. Another one is, I have played a festival in the past. This is a very common one. They ask you to buy the tickets in advance, so you buy a set amount of tickets and then you have to go and sell them yourself. So that's your incentive, is that if you don't sell the tickets, A, you're out of pocket, and B, you haven't got a crowd to play to. That is wrong on so many levels in my opinion, because of what I said before. Like, it's a two-way thing. You promote the show and I promote the show, and then together we both bring people along and everyone has a great night. Everyone should get paid and people enjoy live music. That's the way that it should be, you think. There are a lot of great people out there who support, and there are some really, really great people I've come across in my time who support live music, they want to help live music, and they just genuinely love helping out artists, and those are the people that you really need to keep close to you, and I do. But also, people actually do want you to pay to play, which is, I've never experienced it. I know it happens a lot with touring. I have not been on tour yet, but it's something that I know that if you want to get on tour with a major artist, a lot of the time you do have to pay for that slot. That's such a difficult one, because you do have to weigh up whether it's worth paying it for the exposure that you're going to get. I know I'm kind of going against what I said before, but if it's like Dua Lipa or Kelly Clarkson, then you've got to weigh up what you're going to earn in merch and what you're going to earn in everything else. So that is a difficult one with touring. But I had an experience where oh, I love these stories. I played a pretty much sold out, I say sold out, it was a free show, but packed out room for my EP launch and local show at the Star, Save the Star. Packed the room out pretty much almost to capacity, like it was amazing. We had a London show the next day on the kind of like promotion of the EP. My fan base at that time, and pretty much still, is mainly Guildford. Like, people aren't gonna necessarily be able to travel to London, or haven't quite branched out that way yet. So we went along and I was opening and we were buzzing off for this great first night, and I mean, long story short, we played to the sound man and the supporting acts, which is something that I feel like if you're a musician and you haven't done that, then you haven't done your groundwork and you have an unrealistic expectation or unrealistic picture of what the music industry is. You've got to do those in your time. But anyway, the promoter came and had a word with us afterwards. He was a very young, naive, I think, to it all chap, and he basically said to us, "Where are all the people?" And we said, "Well, you're the promoter, like, we did our bit." And he said, "Well, you're going to have to pay." And we did tell him what we thought and we left. So I don't often do that. I said to the support acts, I said, "I'm really sorry, but we are going to have to go." His attitude was really poor and we did leave, and the guys were understanding, the headliner and the other guys. I will always support the people I'm performing with, and I will always stay. I will never like just go, but we had to that time. It was just appalling. So yeah, never pay, even if you're asked to pay, for not bringing anyone. It's not your fault, unless you genuinely do not do any promotion and you expect the promoter to do everything. That's not fair as well. But if you promote and they book you, they should know where your fan base is. They should have an expectation that if you're a band from Surrey playing in London, you might be able to bring a few people, but it's not going to be as much as if it was a hometown show. So, oh, we did say to him, "You should be paying us expenses, if anything." With all these auditions, all these other ones that I talked about, these competitions you go in for, a lot of gigs, you're using your own time and your own money to get there. A lot of the time you don't get that back. I would say a lot of the time, most of the time, you don't get that back. Sorry, this is quite ranty, but I just feel so passionate. Here are my beware of things to be aware of, things to look out for when you're approached and when you are emailed. Look out to see if it's a generic email or if it is personalised. Now, a lot of people do just take my name. A lot of people will go, "Hi, Hannah Dorman," and then blah 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 blah. You have to check to see if it is personalised. If it's just generic and they have just copied and pasted something and sent it to you, it's probably not legit, or they've just sent it out on a database. If they've mentioned your name and they have mentioned a track of yours that they liked, how they found you, how they came across you, you know a personalised email to a non-personalised generic email. So just look out for that. Check the logo, the name, any spelling mistakes in the email or in the email address. Like, I did check out a few videos and I will leave the links in the description below, and I looked at some advice pages as well. So I will leave everything in the description. One guy was saying the email address, for example, say it's hannah@hannahdorman.com. Check that hannahdorman.com is a legitimate address. Check out that there are no spelling mistakes in it, because if someone's writing to you from Universal or Sony or Radio 1 or something like that, check the other people that work there's email is the same. If it's not, then you're going to know that it's just someone's fake email address that they've made up. So you want to look just to see that that all adds up nicely. This is another one that I kind of touched upon. Don't give anyone any money. Just don't give any money up. Don't give anyone any money for anything. You should not be paying. I've said this before. You as an artist or as a musician should not be paying for anything. If someone wants to work with you that much, they will invest in you and they will work off the percentages that they get from your earnings. If anyone asks for any payment up front for anything, like I said with these competitions, which I did when I was younger, competitions, people, labels, managers, agents want to work with you, studio time, that's a little bit different when it's independent labels. A lot of the stuff, just be wise, be aware. Be aware. Don't get carried away as well, and don't reply straight away. Give it a little bit of time, digest it, read it. Don't just instantly write back and say, yes, oh my god, it sounds amazing, what do we do next, where do I sign? Because people can get really excited over the first initial look, and then when you see it and then you look into it a little bit more, you might reveal or uncover some hidden secrets or just some nasty little things that are in there that you wished you'd looked at because you brushed over in all the excitement. Take a breath, get a cup of tea or a coffee, maybe not a coffee, that might increase your adrenaline levels. Walk away from it, come back, get someone else to read it maybe, then you can reply. And that takes me on to my next point, which is do your research and get advice. Get advice is just the biggest one I can say. Like, it saved me. If you don't ask, you don't know. Like, people can say whatever they want, they can promise you the earth, they can promise you this, that and the other, but there's no other evidence apart from advice and first-hand experience from people who may have worked with these people or who may know them. You just have to either Google their name or ask someone that you might know that you trust. I've got some trusted people in the industry that I would turn to and I would ask and I would sort advice from them. Have people close to you who you trust and that you can ask. And there's quite a lot of like advice groups out there and forums. The internet is an amazing place nowadays, so you can find a lot just from a few little clicks and taps on your computer or your smartphone. Get advice, do your research, and don't be afraid to ask people. Speak to people who may have taken part in the competition, may have worked with the label, may be managed by the same person, may have had their PR done by whoever, may have played the festival, whatever it is. Just ask people. And because at the end of the day, like musicians, we should stick together. Everyone's out to help each other and we all just want to do well. It's just been really heartwarming to see how other musicians are so willing to help one another. Another page said don't sign anything until you have got advice from a lawyer, ASCAP, BMI, Musicians Union as well. There's loads of places out there where you can get advice, and if you don't know necessarily yourself, a lot of like music speak is quite scary and a lot of legal speak is, so they are for you and hoping that you're going to get the best deal possible. Another thing I read in one of these forums is that make sure there is a get out. Some of these contracts, they don't have a get out. I know it sounds silly, but read the contract, read whatever you're signing. I know I have said go and get advice from one of these places, but make sure you read it yourself. Do not rely on them because you will not have a leg to stand on. If there's something in there that you miss that you're not comfortable with, make sure you read it. Just be logical about it at the end of the day. I think I've written down here as my last point, which is sad but true. If it seems too good to be true, it probably is. And as much as that breaks my heart to say, because we all hope that that deal is going to come through and it's going to be perfect, hard work, dedication and putting your hours in puts you in such a better position and such a stronger position when someone does approach you, and when that time comes, it will be because you have put the work in and the effort in yourself. You will be in a stronger position because you will have learnt more about the music industry, which is what I feel like over the past 10 years. Like, if someone came to me 10 years ago and offered me a deal or offered me something, I would not know what to do. I would just be more naive about it. Whereas now I have had so much more experience. I know who I will turn to. I know the questions that I will ask. Just don't be afraid to ask questions. If you ask any question, they should respond and they shouldn't get defensive. And also, another one of these blog posts said if they are legitimate, they will have no problem with you going to get advice from a lawyer or going to see a lawyer. If they get funny about that, then it's probably best to just cut it there, because they probably are going to uncover something that they don't want you to find. I wanted to make this video, and I wanted to kind of use this as for educational purposes, to inform people of stuff that does go on. You might not be a musician, you might just like music and want to know, and might just like me, I love all the behind the scenes stuff and I'm just a bit nosy when it comes to everything like that. You might be a musician yourself, and I wanted this to be a safe place for musicians to help each other. Use this video, have a discussion in the comments below, help each other out. I mean, obviously you can name and shame in the comments if you want to. I didn't want that to be the purpose of this video. I just wanted to tell you things that go on. A lot of these, all of these have been from my experience. There has been a lot of other strange, wild and wonderful things that have happened over the past 10 years. It is interesting. I have so many weird stories to tell. It's so difficult to break now. So difficult that when something does come along, you think, oh my god, this is it, we're off. And then it comes to nothing, and then you're back to where you were, and it is really disheartening. There are a lot of people out there that do prey on that because they know, they're probably ex-musicians themselves, they know what's going on in there, they know what we're feeling, they know that frustration of wanting something so much and working on it for so long, and then someone tries to like get in there, and then you find out that it's a scam, and you let them in a little bit, and you're like, ugh, you just feel dirty. You're like, well, I know this has been very negative because it is the dark side of the industry. Write in the comments below, talk to me about stuff that you might have experienced. Were you surprised that this stuff goes on? Tell me about it. Let's make this a safe place where we can come together and we can help each other so that people don't get scammed, and so that we have good experiences rather than negative experiences, and we can do this together. Thank you guys so much for watching. Give this video a like if you liked it and would like to see more videos like this in the future, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!